I recently learned what a smut book is. It's making me fired up because I'm annoyed at how much this bothers him. I will drive myself crazy reading self-help books. It's still something that is weird that we put our identity into. Like, we are someone who reads books, and that is kind of why we get mad at people who don't read books. You could argue that the creation of books was the very first step in the downfall of society. We moved away from emotions to logic and facts, and survival through competition became our means to an end. We lost the sense of abundance that had gotten us so far, and the sense that there was enough for everyone. We lost our relationship with fate. We needed to control fate and have more than everyone else. We stopped the simple life connections, like sitting around a campfire, telling stories, gazing at the stars, or walking barefoot in nature, in order to cultivate agriculture and create industries where power and status far outweighed collaboration or peaceful coexistence. We stopped being and started doing a lot of things, existing on a kind of autopilot that we could not turn off. Millennia later, we live in a world where logic is massively overrated. Emotions are seen as weakness, and decisions based on intuition have little or no place. We have forgotten where we came from. Over time, we have neglected the limbic brain that gotten us to this pivotal moment in our revolution, and instead placed the cortex on a pedestal. We have demoted depth, passion, and instinct, and come to rely on the surface-level capabilities such as exams, rote learning, or transactional relationships that are more connected with material gain than true joy. We live a life dominated by stress and are too busy to really take notice of who we are, where we are going, and what we want from life. We are now at a moment where technology will disrupt our minds and bodies more than we can begin to imagine. We are on the threshold of a massive change. That was an excerpt from a book that I'm reading right now called The Source. It's written by Tara Swart. She's a neuroscientist. Reading that excerpt of this book shook me to my core. And so I thought, what a great time. What a great idea to talk about the books that I'm reading lately and why, and my general observations about book reading and being someone my age, and Gen Z's aversion to reading, and the controversy between reading and listening to audiobooks, because that's a thing apparently. And the reason why I started to get back into reading originally was actually about a year ago at this time. I was in a very dreary, dark, depressive state. Now, I wasn't actually diagnosed with depression or anything, but I had accidentally lost 30 pounds. I was living by myself, and my acne was flaring up like crazy, and I was just super stressed and feeling lonely. And it's probably because at that point in my life I had chosen to be at that particular state, doing that particular thing, and I feel like it was because the fact that I chose to be there is what was bringing me down so much. It wasn't just a matter of me dealing with the circumstances that came upon me. It was the fact that I had chosen to be there. I wanted to want it, and it wasn't working out. And it wasn't a matter of, let me just push through this tough time in the hopes that this trajectory that I'm on will lead me to a better place. No, the path that I was on wasn't even leading me to a place that I wanted to be. And so I was completely just a loaf of myself. That is how I felt. And I started reading fun little fiction books to try to get myself out of my funk, and it really helped. Those are just one of those things that I try to do to break myself out of my routines that I feel like is a huge factor of why I was feeling so low and down as well. So fast forward to the beginning of the year, I decided to take a break from school. I changed up my routines a bit. I started this YouTube channel, and things started looking up, and things were great again. But these past 6 to 7 months since then, though I've had a lot less bad days than I did that year ago in that state, I still feel like I have, lately especially, a lot more bad days than a healthy person should. And I want to believe that it's a matter of me changing my mindset. and not a matter of me going through a career change, a relationship change, a location change. Like, I want to believe it's purely a mindset thing, and it's just a matter of me figuring out how to be content and how to understand what I want and execute that within reason. So I've been reading a lot of self-help-ish books lately, but I will drive myself crazy reading self-help books. Like, I will dig my way into finding the answers for life, and I will not stop until I achieve that. It's just the way that I am. So I know for me, I need a balance. For when I read, I need to read something fun. I need to read something to learn from. I need to balance my experiences so I'm not so stuck in a rut. Like, I feel like I can sense myself wanting to go back into the rut of things lately, and I don't want to let myself do it. So I've been trying to change my routines again, read some different books, do some different activities, and I think it's been working. I've been trying to get outside almost every day, and I've been drinking these little mental performance shots that were given to me. And let me just tell you, these things, I've been doing it for 7 days straight, and I feel like every day after I drink these things, it's like I'd gotten a perfect night's sleep the day before, especially after 7 days of use. Like, I must just be filled with all the good vitamins that are in there or something. I must be malnourished, because these things are like a game changer, and they make me feel super clear-headed and focused to be able to achieve and do whatever I need that day. So if you want to give it a try, magicmind.com/moonbeam with the code moonbeam20 will give you 48% off a subscription box of these little mental performance shot drinks. Test it out, let me know. And thank you, Magic Mind, for sponsoring today's video. So going outside and doing that has been one way that I've been trying to shake my routine, but I've also been trying to read a bit more variety of books lately. And this is one of the books that I haven't finished yet, but I got it from the library, and I already know I'm gonna wanna buy myself a hard copy of this bad boy. Does anyone else do that? Like, I would love to just buy books, but I would rather scavenge the library, all local libraries that are near me, for a particular book before I commit to buying it, because what am I, made of money? So in addition to that book that I've been reading, well, I've been reading a lot of books like that. They're kind of hippie woohoo books, and I feel like with this outfit and these earrings, I literally probably sound like a hippie woohoo person. Maybe I am deep down, I don't know yet, but regardless. Another book I've been reading lately, and maybe I'll show you it on my phone, is the King's Dark Tidings series on Audible. It has been, okay, so there we go. I haven't actually been reading it. I've been listening to it, okay? But it is such a fun listen that I almost want to stop listening and buy a book and read it myself so I can have like truly my own spin on it. I feel like that's the difference between audiobooks and regular books, because when you're just reading a book on your own, you make choices. Like, yes, there is description in the book, and yes, the author obviously puts you on a path that he wants you to go on, he or she wants you to go on. This fantasy book was actually written by a girl. The author obviously has a path and a place he wants you to go, but it's like you're kind of the director. Like, you have the setting and you have the place and you have the characters, but like you kind of set things up the way you want, and you have the message and the tone and like the feeling that you already have in your mind. I feel like it's more personal. You can have a more personal experience when you read a book on your own than when you listen to it on an audiobook. But the guy who reads his audiobooks, I've listened to some of his other books before, and he's just such a fun time. He does a million accents, and it's just nice sometimes. I feel like all day long I'm staring at a computer screen or just like a book, and your eyes will just get tired and you'll just feel exhausted. And it's just so nice. I feel like there's nothing more relaxing than closing your eyes and only experiencing something through your ear holes. No? Anybody else? I realize there's a lot of contempt, and I used to be these people. I used to be these people who look down at people for listening to audiobooks. Like, hear me out. I guess I used to have this notion in my head that people who listen to audiobooks were like taking the easy way out or something, right? So I actually took the time to sit down, put all my focus into this one book, per se, and I got the ideas out of it, and I did it like all on my own. Does that make sense? Like, it was not fed to me. It is it's obvious that like listening to an audiobook is much easier to consume than reading, because reading takes a different kind of focus. It probably requires more of your mental energy. It's why you can't really multitask while you're reading, you know? And like people would tell me they read a book and I'd be like, did you read the book? Or did you listen to it? And I don't like, why? Because here's the thing. I feel like there's two kinds of people who read books, right? Or a spectrum of readers, if you will. Okay, so there's like on one end, the people who are probably quiet, they're probably very to themselves, they mind their own business, they like reading for the art of it, they appreciate, maybe they're a little bit introverted, just like whatever you picture, like a bookish librarian, like just a pure soul who enjoys learning and enjoys reading just for the sake of it. There's like those ends of readers. There's like that end of the spectrum of readers. And then you have the like elite intellectuals who refuse to read anything other than nonfiction books. And they look down on every other pastime besides reading, because reading is the purest form of all media. And if you're not reading, shame on you. If you can't name 10 books, you are a degenerate scum of the earth. I feel like I used to fall closer on the spectrum of people who look down on like certain types of books. And well, I still kind of do. I'm not gonna lie, like I can't believe this is gonna get me. Maybe I shouldn't even say it, but I recently learned what a smut book is, okay? I recently learned what that was. And I digress. I'm just gonna digress right now. But I feel like reading, since I was very little, has always been ingrained in me as something very important. And it is, right? Probably the most efficient way to get important information across is to have it in writing, to let other people see it. It's valuable to have a reading comprehension, to be able to understand just anything. Reading is obviously very important. I went hard for reading when I was little. Do you even know how hard I went on those AR tests? Who remembers AR tests? Okay, if you're unfamiliar with the American education system, in a public American school like K through 12, and I don't know if they still do this, but when I was growing up, they had things called accelerated reader tests. So every year you would take a reading comprehension, grammar kind of test, and they would rank you based on grade level, like what your reading level was. If you read up to your grade level, like you were right on track, right? You're totally fine. If you had the reading comprehension higher, a few grades higher, say you were a third grader and you had the reading comprehension of like a fifth, sixth, seventh grader, you were the coolest kid in town, in my book, okay? And you would go to the library and there'd be little stickers, color-coded books of books that are in your reading level, right? And you would read those books, you would take a reading comprehension test, like an AR test at the end, and you would receive points. And the more books you read, the more tests you took, the more points you got. At the end of the year, I would be the crown winner, the highest person in the class, in the school, who got the most AR points because I was just that competitive. This model probably doesn't work for everyone. I liked being a good student. I love authority. And so this worked for me. I realized this is probably not the best route for everyone to like have an incentive to read books, right? It is kind of weird now that I think about it. And it's also weird because it probably placed a lot of ideas into our heads. School does this in a lot of ways, but hear me out. When you think of capitalism, and this isn't I'm not trying to make some sort of political statement right now. I barely know what the word capitalism means, okay? But in the general sense of the word, the American ideal of like money and a free economy, there's this idea that having a skill set that is rare or different or much more varied than other people makes you inherently valuable, because when you have that varied skill set, it can lead to making more money. And when you think, like, why is it so valuable to be well read? Well, there's a lot of valuable reasons to be well read. And you could obtain wisdom and knowledge and connect with a lot of people, right? But I feel like a big reason that people don't talk about why it's cool to be well read or why you should be well read is because people think that it makes you inherently more valuable to be well read. Why? Because not a lot of people are well read. Most people aren't well read. If you are well read, you have maybe a higher capacity to make more money. You have a varied skill set. Maybe it just makes you a more likable, charismatic person, interesting person who knows all this information. And those traits, being a charismatic, interesting, likable person, also in turn can make you more money and be a successful person, you know? And it's so funny because I feel like book reading, like anything else, the book industry is just that. It's an industry. It was meant to make money. And when I read that excerpt that I just read you from The Source, a book about the brain, it talks about how we now value this really logical, coherent side of the brain, and we've strayed away from like the first way people would tell stories and share information, which was like sitting around a campfire and talking to each other and telling stories and being able to remember stories to share to other people. And I feel like these elitist book readers forget that reading was literally the first form of media. Like, these readers who die on the hill that reading is like the most important thing ever. And it's very important, don't get me wrong. But I feel like these people shame other people for consuming other sorts of media, including things like audiobooks. Because it's like reading is the end-all be-all truest form of media. Truest form, the best way to spend your time, when really it was kind of the first distraction. I feel like we went from having communities, teaching and learning together in a group of people sharing stories, to now having to read a book by yourself quietly in a corner, in a study, in a library, in an office, focusing on every single word in order to comprehend. You could argue that the creation of books was the very first step in the downfall of society. I know that sounds ridiculous because it is, but it's interesting. It's an interesting thought that I had. I mean, yes, there of course are worse things to take pride in than your book reading list. In fact, maybe more people should take more pride in their book reading list, right? I hear that argument, but it's still something that is weird that we put our identity into. Like, we are someone who reads books, and that is kind of why we get mad at people who don't read books and they actually listen to books, or they obtain their information somehow else. I think of, oh my gosh, there was this guy. There was this guy at work. He's older, right? He's probably in his 50s. His name is Gary. Goodness, Gary. Gary was talking to this kid at work, and this kid was probably around my age, and he's making some analogy. Okay, Gary is making some analogy about Stevie Wonder and how this kid has to do something in the way Stevie Wonder does it, you know, because you got to do it like Stevie Wonder does and this blah, 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 blah. And the kid is like listening to Gary and giving him a blank face because he doesn't know who Stevie Wonder is. And Gary flips the freak out. And it was kind of funny at first. The first couple times Gary brought up this story and I heard him, like I witnessed him have this conversation with this kid. It was funny at first, but then Gary could not get over the fact that this kid does not know who Stevie Wonder is. And he got so fired up. It's making me fired up because I'm annoyed at how much this bothers him. For the record, I personally do know who Stevie Wonder is, okay? That is just because I am relatively close with my boomer elders, all right? And as much as I live under a rock, I don't live so much under a rock that I haven't heard the name Stevie Wonder or heard a Stevie Wonder song in passing, okay? I love Superstitious just as much as the next guy, okay? But this kid didn't know who Stevie Wonder is, and like, can you blame him? Gary was over here telling him that Stevie Wonder is the greatest in the world at XYZ thing, and we don't know great music, and we kids growing up like I can't believe you don't know who Stevie Wonder is. no one ever told you who Stevie Wonder is? And he's like, and I'm over here like, no, one did tell me who Stevie Wonder is, really. And if you're going to be so upset that us kids today don't know the greatest singer or whoever, whatever in the world, that is on you. Gary was over here acting as if Stevie Wonder wasn't the most popular performer when he was our age. Like, he is neglecting, like, he's over here mad at us because we're listening to the popular performers of our age. I don't know, what are we listening to? The Weeknd, Billie Eilish, Ariana Grande, okay, all these big names that are the best of our age, and he's mad that we don't know the best of his age, right? He's saying the things that we're listening to now is trash, all these things, when in reality, the older generation of his time, their ears were probably bleeding listening to Stevie Wonder because they probably felt that the purest form and best music is classical and nothing else. And if you deviate from that purest form of artistic music, then you don't know what good music is. And Stevie Wonder isn't the best of all time. It's so and so, whatever. And it's just so funny that, like, why does every generation refuse to see this stupid little pattern? Like, if kids today aren't reading, it's because the older generation wasn't reading either. What? Okay, let's think in succession, okay, right? So it was like we told stories around a campfire, okay? And then there were books. And then now we just read stories by our lonesome. And then the radio was created. And now we're listening to things. And then TV. And now we're not listening to the radio. We're going to watch TV. And look at all these things that we can do instead of reading. And we're still obtaining information. And it's great. It's like every stepping stone led us to the next stepping stone. There's this video on YouTube. I'm going to try to find it. It's like this etiquette course from the 50s or something. And it's funny because there's this scene where the lady's like trying to tell the kids that they need to get their sleep right. And the girls, they're staying up, and what are they doing? They're staying up writing each other letters and listening to the radio. How hilarious. Kids don't stay up and do that anymore. What's the succession? Like, kids were probably staying up reading, right? And then when the radio was invented, yeah, kids were staying up late to listen to the radio instead of going to sleep. Now, what are kids doing instead of going to sleep? They're on social media. They're watching a video. They're watching, I don't know, maybe they're playing a video game and they're putting off going to sleep. Like, and every generation thinks there's nothing wrong. That's just how it is. In fact, they probably think they're the best, as if every generation isn't a deviation from, like, the original time of balance or whatever. I don't know. There are 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours in a day, 365 days in a year. Like, depending on how you want to look at it, life is just a series of successions of 5 minutes, okay, or whatever interval you want to use. And, like, if you want to have a good year, you have to have a good day. And if you want to have a good day, it means you have to have a good 24 hours. If you want a good 24 hours, that means you have to have a good 5 minutes. And that is just the way of things. And I just get so peeved when I hear the older generation, like, complain about the younger generation as if we're literally not just, like, eating your dust. We're trying to live in the world that you have left behind, and just calm down, okay, everybody? It was funny. Your Stevie Wonder story was funny at first, Gary, but will you stop talking about it? I guess it's worth noting, I guess you can't say that anymore with my discovery of smut books, and I'm sure smut books have been like a thing forever, honestly, and they're just recently getting popularity again. But, like, obviously traditional media. Look at this cute little strawberry. It matches my shirt. Oh my gosh, I have to tell you this story because I got this shirt and I almost didn't get this shirt because it had a little embroidery of this martini glass, and I was, like, literally having a moral dilemma over this martini glass on my shirt among this other cute summery shirt. And I'm like, dude, this shirt does not reflect your moral character. Okay, calm down. Why am I so freaking uptight sometimes, I swear? I wish I could be a regular 20-something-year-old who, like, just thinks about partying and I don't, like, why? Why do I have to have a moral conundrum over such silly stuff like this? Like, I take life so seriously sometimes. I get so mad at myself. And sometimes I think it's a great thing, because, like, people love to say live your life isn't serious, and, you know, just, like, be happy and have fun. And I'm like, no, what? Hello? I feel like I hear you, but, like, I feel like just a little bit serious, though. Like, what? I feel like there's some implications here. I feel like we're gonna have some cosmic consequences of our actions, you know? But, like, I know, I don't know. I know I have a good enough heart, I hope. I know God sees my heart, but it's like, dang. It's just a shirt with a little stupid sketch of a martini glass, Chris, and it doesn't make you an alcoholic for wearing this shirt. Gosh, can I just be normal? I just am a bad liar. I cannot lie to myself. I really wish I could, honestly. I wish I could sometimes, okay, not in actuality, but I sometimes really wish I can just be those people who have their vices and ignore what I'm feeling. Just, you know, go out, have a good time, party a little bit, have some fun. But no, I can't, because I know deep down I'm not content, or I'm not addressing how I truly feel, or I'm not being genuine, and it'll eat me alive. It'll eat me alive, and I feel like that's why I get in these ruts sometimes, because I feel like I get in these ruts because I'm just thinking way too dang hard about everything. And I want to stop doing that. I want to stop doing that so bad, but it's just how I am. I don't know if I'll ever be able to stop. I do take life seriously. Life feels pretty dang serious to me. I know it's not going to last forever. I don't know, dude. Does anyone else feel like that? Like, when people tell me to lighten up, you lighten up. Gosh. I'm sorry that I want to go someplace with my life. I want to do something. I want to feel something. I don't want to just... I have bad luck. Maybe that's what... I have bad luck. I'm not leaving things in the hands of chance, okay? If any moment I have the ability to control the outcomes of my life, you best believe I'm going to work the hardest I can, within reason, to execute that thing and achieve whatever it is that I want to achieve. And anyone who doesn't want to do that with me, I just get mad at them. And I shouldn't. I should just let them be. I should just leave them if it bothers me that much and let it be. But I just can't. That's just not how I am. And if I do something, I'm going to be extreme about it. And I'm probably, if I have something to say, I'm saying it with a lot of conviction. I have lost friends over this because it's just, I can't help but share exactly everything that's on my mind and heart, like, all the time. Can I just chill? Maybe I'm Gary. Anyway, those are my thoughts for today. That's my therapy session for today, because I can't afford to go to therapy. So, that's bad. I shouldn't say that. I choose to spend my finances on other things. I'm allocating my time and finances to other things other than therapy at the moment. Should I reconsider my budget? For now, I'm hanging on fine, so I think we'll be good. Anyway, those are my thoughts for today. Don't forget that books are just a form of media, and you're not cooler than me. Okay, you might be cooler than me, but you're just try not so hard. Try not so hard to put your identity in any one thing, especially as silly as the kind of books you read. And thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed. And leave your comments. I love reading your comments. I read almost all your comments, even though it's hard for me to respond sometimes. Know that I read them. All of them. Mean people out there. Should I even say that? I don't know. That's all I have to say. I'll see you when I see you. Okay, bye.